This isn't what I thought it would be, but anyways, I'm here, not with a mainline video or anything, but with an explanation. So, for those that have seen the various Tales of Tomfoolery episodes on my second channel by now, it's nice to see it get some attention, though it could use some more. This is not an episode of Tales of Tomfoolery either, but rather an explanation on why it even exists. The short answer is that I wanted something else for my brand, other than just a massive heap of gaming videos. Plus, I wanted to experiment with a different, albeit simple design template that's very similar to how I've been editing videos for a while now. Tales of Tomfoolery essentially exists nowadays to not only provide some damn context to some of the mainline videos nowadays, but to add some comedic spice that doesn't always have to directly involve the people that are in my videos. I say not indirectly though, some of them actually do provide the voices of some of the other characters seen in those videos. Anyone that has seen my regular mainline videos on this channel and the second channel at the time would know that they just pop out of nowhere, often with no context. Towards that end, this is mainly why mainline videos, at least for some of them on the second channel, they actually started with a scene in the intros and mid-roll scenes in somewhat the format of Tales of Tomfoolery. However, as seen in the God Took Phone and My Party Jamboree videos posted on this channel recently this year, those no longer have those scenes. And the reason is twofold. One, Tales of Tomfoolery is its own thing, and I hopefully intend to keep it on the second channel because it's kind of different from what I normally do. And second, it added more work to each video when I already had a lot. So, there. I don't do YouTube full time and never have ever since this channel got monetized back in 2021 and started in late 2019. It's always been a side hustle. Back then, I was able to pump out one mainline video per week, and given I've invested tons of time into my channel, it's a good effort. But also keep in mind that back then, I was dealing with college and university while having part-time at a different job. So I had a ton of workload on my shoulders the entire time while this channel has been active back in its early days. However, due to the more tedious editing that I have to do nowadays, mainly with moving the renders around and figuring out Tales of Tomfoolery episodes, alongside working full-time, I can now really only pump out one video of any kind once per month. That being said, this is primarily why uploads have drastically slowed down. I went on a bit of a tangent there, but Tales of Tomfoolery doesn't really require as much intensive resources and preparation, say for literally every mainline video I've published on both channels. Mainline being like gaming videos, like God Took Phone, Gmod, or whatever, something like that. I had to plan each recording, figure out who would be in each one and when, actually host the recording and pray that nothing bad comes up, edit the video, create the thumbnail, then publish it. And that's vastly oversimplifying the entire process. I left out a lot of the small details. Tales of Tomfoolery videos, on the other hand, they don't necessarily have those preparation issues, and there's still the rest of the process, but admittedly, it's not that less tedious to create a Tales of Tomfoolery video, because I actually do have to write down the entire script, with occasional suggestions from friends. For anyone that has not seen Tales of Tomfoolery, it's mostly just me and the rest of the Twilight Tomfools, so me, Virgo, Jeffrey Jasbeer, Zero Destination Psy, and Zero Destination Chaos, all being in character. Now Chaos, the red assembly drone shown here, kind of came out of the blue because I created him to represent me on the second channel back when I first created it. I believe that was around 2024. But Psy, on the other hand, he actually used to go by the name Zero Destination D. How I used to looked cringe as hell. Yeah, you don't say, Psy. He took over the main channel for like only one video because I decommissioned it shortly after. But in the end though, it just didn't feel right to morph, essentially, into whoever was my mascot and using my normal voice. Anyone who's seen my mainline videos on this channel back in 2021, 2022 or whatever, you know the drill. Virgo had my normal voice. He doesn't sound like he used to nowadays. If you've seen any episode of Tales of Tomfoolery, he sounds different. And that's when I rebranded the second channel to the Twilight Tomfools at the time. Keeping the Tales of Tomfoolery cast to just the OCs I use my voice for did get stale after not so long, so I decided to add some more spice. There are several examples of this, but the most obvious example is having friends voice my other OCs that I don't use my voice for. Anyone familiar with the dystopian district concept I did many years back? Well, that's one of them. That's when Virgo was still my mascot back in 2021. Still proud of it, though they never went into a fan game of any kind. Kinda wish they did. That was kinda hot at the time. But for those that haven't really seen Tales of Tomfoolery, I voiced Virgo and Jeffrey Jazzbear. Matt Storm voices Egad Augustus. Stargorge voices Marionette. Via voices Lunar Locust. Calvin the Chocolate Bear voices Corvus Tenebrae. Violet voices Caragato. And AJ Markle, Aaron, voices Marcus Clastos. Now, anyone that has seen the dystopian district concept would know that Frida, the fox, or now Vixen, actually has not appeared yet in Tales of Tomfoolery. He is the only named character to have not appeared in that. Holly Clark as a femme voiced her, but perhaps someday, Frida will appear again. Now, a major topic that I want to discuss here, multiverse. Psi and Chaos are from alternate universes of murder drones. More on that later, but by committing to the idea of a multiverse, I can take characters that have appeared in various media and in a way modify them to fit a profile that I would consider a unique interpretation of said character. Now, this is not plopping them into my videos with their perceived original personalities, no. It's rather taking a media character and modify their personalities a bit to fit a profile that I want in my videos. There are several examples of this, but in the end, there are the various clone trooper characters that have appeared as the security force for my business, the Twilight Enterprise, in Tales of Tomfoolery videos. Those are some examples. However, there are two that really do stick out. It's my two different interpretations of Sin from Murder Drones. First is Sin 6072, or Sin Drone as I call her in videos, the one that looks like Tessa Elliott. As I alluded to earlier, the original plan to plot media characters into the series with their original personalities didn't feel right. And this Sin Drone, if you will, does have a relationship with my mechanical right hand Virgo. But had I gone with the original plan, it would have been like this. One's an unbearable bear with a trolling complex, and the other is a genocidal AI wearing a corpse. Doesn't mix well. Even though I have cleverly visualized in Tales of Tomfoolery videos that both Virgo and Sin are chaotic to an extent. But then I thought, what if Sin was in an alternate universe where events played out differently? Then it clicked. Give Sin different colored eyes, maybe change the clothing a little bit, and then there, alternate universe Sin that I can mold based on my interpretation and intentions. And the same goes for Little Sin, or Sin 8777. The numbers on the end of their name indicate their designation number. Side note, I don't recall there being an official explanation for the designation number of 1001 seen on basically every worker drone seen in the show Murder Drones, but headcanon time. My headcanon dictates that JC Jensen produced worker drones on assembly line with that designation number. And this designation number would differ depending on the universe of murder drones. Probably not the most creative idea I've had, but it is what I've came up with. Little Sin is basically, what if Sin had no interactions with the Absolute Solver at all? So, retaining her original personality never got disposed. Now, this is just me, but my take on Sin's original personality is kind-hearted but very timid. Recall that I mentioned earlier about plopping characters into my series with their original personalities unaltered? Well, the real Sin, Sin 1001, as seen at the end of the Wuku Island episode, is the only example of this so far, and that will likely change down the road. But due to editing restraints, however, I couldn't really do much with the destruction aspect seen in the immediately next episode of the Tales of Tomfoolery timeline, But while I mostly chalk most events up to what I call tomfool logic, in which most things just don't make sense, I try to make sense of some stuff in there, keeping Sin, Sintessa, Sinwalker, however you prefer to call her, in the series, so not just like once and they're gone. I did so by reasoning that since Sin is just a regular worker drone, not a disassembly drone, she's not immune to EMP attacks, so electromagnetic pulses. And anyone who's watched the Murder Drones pilot episode would know that regular worker drones are not immune, but disassembly drones are. Now, it is debatable whether or not the real Sin would be vulnerable to EMP weapons, but it's kind of what I came up with. But then, remember I mentioned the clone troopers? Then I thought, droid popper grenades from the Clone Wars. They're EMP weapons. So, that was really my only reason behind that, and it's simple. And another attempt to make sense is the restraining bolts that were supposedly stuck onto Sin's heart by Desai in the same episode, which by that those restraining bolts would prevent Sinwalker from using any solver abilities. So, no holographic disguises, callback ping, flying, teleportation, and the 3 tentacles that stick out of her back. None of that can be done, but Sinwalker is sticking around to add more comic relief. Also, another tangent. Why is it that the clothing that Sin wears is inconsistent in the color department? In the show, her dress is like all black and gothic, the only accent is purple on the heels. Whereas in the merchandise, for the most part, there's more purple in the dress, the bow on her head, and of course the heels. It'd be great if someone could explain that inconsistency, but I actually did decide to keep Sinwalker's appearance with the appearance seen in the merchandise, so a lot more purple. And plus, maybe that's what she looks like in a different universe. Alright, last subject that I want to cover, because I know someone who has seen Tales of Tomfoolery notices that I use 11 Labs for AI voices in Tales of Tomfoolery. To put it this way, at the time of writing, it is applicable to most of the clone characters, and both Syndrome and Sinwalker, but not Little Sin, while it voices her. There will definitely be more coming, don't know how quickly I'll expand. But now I understand that using AI in videos is touchy and sketchy, but here's my stance on this. AI voices to me are acceptable if solely for the purpose of interpreting fictional characters. Emphasis on that. Not the people who provide the voices or physical appearance if exclusive to live action. AI in general though, it's usually acceptable as a tool, not as the engine. To give an example, like AI subtitles. There's a lot of YouTube shorts I've seen that use AI subtitles for saving time in editing, because adding in subtitles can be really tedious. Maybe I'll add subtitles into my Tales of Tomfoolery videos at some point, but I'm not sure. However, there are YouTube shorts that I have seen that are like fully AI generated, and in that case, that's where the AI is the engine and not a tool itself. Those, at best, I find cringe. There's also AI art, which also I'm not fond of, because of the obvious issue that it replaces actual artists, and it's just not the best vibe. Genuine art created by individuals is always going to have a more genuine vibe, like I said. Oh yeah, another thing, I've seen AI chats, mostly with fictional characters, but I did see a few depicting actual people. So, yeah, at best, it's cringe, and at worst, it's amoral when using AI to depict an actual person doing something that they actually didn't do. That's gonna be where I draw the line. Now, I have seen some YouTube channels where they use AI voices of real people, like the Presidents, for example. There's several channels like Presidents Play. The thing is, while I am kind of against it and will not do it myself, the channels that do use AI voices to depict real people do leave a disclaimer up front saying it's for entertainment purposes and not meant to be taken seriously. I also leave that same disclaimer in my Tales of Tomfoolery videos, in any mainline videos that use Tales of Tomfoolery scenes. I don't produce any more mainline videos with Tales of Tomfoolery scenes. There are those 6 videos that do use it. Know this, however, while some of my friends do lend their voice boxes for some of the OCs that they voice in my videos, like they're my OCs, I will not use AI to clone their voices for my videos, even if it's quote-unquote more convenient. I'm going to keep it somewhat natural, a blend of both organic and AI tools, if you will. Anyways, I believe I've covered all I wanted to cover today, so if you made it this far into the video, thanks so much. Just wanted to make sure that the air is cleared about Tales of Tomfoolery, because it hasn't been getting as much attention as I would like it to. Granted, they're on the second channel and not here. I think if they're over here on this channel, they might. But now I'm still going to upload them on the second channel, but I'll post announcements whenever a new episode gets released. Anyways, y'all, I will see you all in the next mainline video or Tales of Tomfoolery video. Peace out.